Sa gitna ng standoff sa China, pansamantalang ninisan ng BRP Gregorio del Pilar ang Scarborough Shoal. Pero ayon sa ating Department of
Nangyari
Foreign
ang
Affairs,
standoff, may
hindi ang ibig
200
sabihin niyan
kilometro
ay
lamang
umuurong
ang
ng
layo mula
Pilipinas.
sa kanluran ng Subic
Kukuha
Bay.
ng gamit
Tutulog
sa
ka ng ating
Kaya
Department of
langis ang
Foreign
BRP
Affairs
Gregorio
sa
del
gobyerno
Pilar.
ng Estados Unidos sa issue tungkol sa panatag o Scarborough Shoal.
Alam naman na natin lahat ang alitan between the Philippines and China tungkol sa bodies of water and islands na located sa South China Sea. But it's not just the Philippines that China is having maritime boundary disputes with. Lahat po ng countries na nakapaligid sa South China Sea, including Taiwan, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, and Vietnam. Pero masyadong malawak yan, so we're sticking with the Philippines and China dispute. But anyways, going back, why would China do that kahit na aware naman sila about the Law of the Sea Convention or Law of the Sea Treaty? What they're doing is clearly bullying, as the senator stated. Kailan ba nagsimula yung disputes between these two countries? Tara, simulan natin. United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, also called the Law of the Sea Convention or Law of the Sea Treaty. The United States and all abiding nations share a deep interest in the preservation of a free and open South China Sea. All nations, regardless of military and economic power, should be free to enjoy the rights and freedoms guaranteed to them under the international law as reflected in the 1982 Law of the Sea Convention without fear of coercion. Territorial waters. Out to 12 nautical miles, 22 kilometers or 14 miles from the baseline, the coastal state is free to set laws, regulate use, and use any resource. Vessels were given the right of innocent passage through any territorial waters, with strategic straits allowing the passage of military craft as transit passage, in that naval vessels are allowed to maintain postures that would be illegal in territorial waters. Innocent passage is defined by the Convention as passing through waters in an expeditious and continuous manner, which is not prejudicial to the peace, good order, or the security of the coastal state. Fishing, polluting, weapons practice, and spying are not innocent. Submarines and other underwater vehicles are required to navigate on the surface and to show their flag. Nations can also temporarily suspend innocent passage in specific areas of their territorial seas, if doing so is essential for the protection of their security. Okay, so based on my understanding, ang ibig sabihin nito is that our territorial waters reaches out to 12 nautical miles or 22 kilometro mula sa baseline ng ating bansa, which is ito po. Sa loob ng territorial waters natin, batas na po natin ang pinapatupad dyan. At hindi lang po sa katubigan, it extends to the sky or yung himpapawid, kasama din po yan. Dito po sa territorial waters natin, may karapatan na tayong sitahin ng mga foreign sea vehicles or vessels na hindi sumusunod sa innocent passage restrictions or yung mga walang permiso pumasok sa ating bansa. Pero ano ba innocent passage? The term innocent passage is defined under international law referring to a ship or aircraft's right to enter and pass through another's territory, so long as it is not prejudicial to the peace, good order, or security of the state. Exclusive Economic Zones. This extends 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers, or 230 miles from the baseline. Within this area, the coastal nation has sole exploitation rights over all natural resources. In casual use, the term may include the territorial sea and even the continental shelf. The EEZs were introduced to halt the increasingly heated clashes over fishing rights, although oil was becoming important as well. The success of an offshore oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico in 1947 was soon repeated elsewhere in the world, and by 1970 it was technically feasible to operate in waters 4,000 meters deep. Foreign nations have the freedom of navigation and overflight, subject to the regulation of the coastal states. Foreign states may also lay submarine pipes and cables. Okay, so this means na lahat ng nasa loob ng ating Exclusive Economic Zone or EEZ na economic resources like fishing, mining, oil exploration, etc. is kontrolado natin. Sa atin po dapat yun. wala na po tayong control over dun sa mga foreign vessels from passing through it. Hindi na po nila kailangan ng permission natin dumaan dun. Which brings us to 2012 Scarborough Shoal Standoff. This was the first incident na nagpakita yung China ng aggression towards Philippines. Walo na Chinese fishing vessels ang nahuli ng ating Philippine Navy na discover na ang mga fishing vessels ay may laman ng corals, giant clams, and live sharks and other marine species. Pero dahil sa kakulangan sa kakayahan ng ating Philippine Navy at that time, having only the BRP Gregorio del Pilar there, the Philippine Navy failed to arrest the fishermen dahil na din ito sa pagdating ng dalawang Chinese surveillance ships. The standoff lasted for a week until BRP Gregorio del Pilar was ordered to withdraw, and for what reason? To get food and replenish fuel. Eventually, naglagay na ng fishing ban ang Chinese government sa Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine takes effect, tinanggalan na tayo ng control sa economic resources na nasa loob ng ating exclusive economic zone. Now, you may be wondering kung saan ba nakuha ng China yung idea na part pa din ng territory nila yung Scarborough Shoal, and why they're refusing to recognize the treaty kahit naman aware sila about sa international law na ito. In fact, when the whole world came together in the 1970s and negotiated about this maritime law, where it stated that everybody gets the same set of maritime claims, China was also there. They took part of it and nag-sign po sila. So what is China's reason about this? Ano ba yung reason nila sa pag-angkin ng Scarborough Shoal and sa iba pang body of water na kiniklaim nila? Dahil daw sa 9-dash line. 9-dash line. 1929. Kumuha ang Republic of China ng mga lumang British sailing charts and sinabi nila sa cartographers na iguhit yung mga borders ng China. May isa sa mga cartographers na naglagay ng 9 dashes na nakapalibot sa buong South China Sea. And voila! Yun na yun. Yun na yung pinanghahawakan nila and they stand by it. 2013. Philippines files an arbitration case against China sa PCA. Para mas maintindihan nyo, let me give you a quick explanation on what an arbitration case is. Ang arbitration case po, ito ay isang form ng alternatibong paraan ng pagresolba sa hindi pagkakaunawaan, wherein or kung saan, yung dalawang parties ay magbibigay ng statement nila about sa said dispute. Ngayon, sino yung magja-judge or kanino mapupunta yung decision? Sa arbitral tribunal po. Ang arbitral tribunal ay isang panel ng mga unbiased na judge or adjudicator sa PCA. Ano po yung PCA? Isa itong intergovernmental organization na nagre-resolve ng mga disputes about sa international agreements and located siya sa The Hague, Netherlands. 2016. The case ended and the arbitral tribunal favored the Philippines. The 9-dash line was also concluded as invalid by the PCA. Pero, if natalo yung China sa case, why is China still harassing neighboring countries? Why are they still claiming the whole South China Sea for themselves? That's because, while the Philippines welcomed the decision, China rejected it outright.